Hello everybody and welcome back to another in-depth TFT guide here on More Pew Pew Less QQ. So I've been back at it again with the Caitlyn strats. Um, in my previous video, which I'll leave the link to in the description, I took a look at a strategy that Joe Bookmark's been developing where he picks Caitlyn Legend and picks Stars Are Born over any other gold augment. And if you don't know, gold augments on 2-1 are the most important, as in roughly 2/3 of your game you'll see a gold augment. So your strategy being based around your gold 2-1 is actually very, very viable, and you can force that, because you'll be seeing it in most of your games. So what does this do? Well, Stars is Reborn upgrades your first tier 1 and your first tier 2 champion that you buy. That's automatically upgraded to 2-star, and you also gain 6 gold. This was added in a recent patch. So this is really a economy augment that you take with a goal of streaking all the way through stage 2 and basically reaching 40 gold at Krugs. And you do this via pre-leveling on stage 1-4, so that you hit level 4 on 2-1, giving you the best 2-cost odds. Yeah, and then there are certain units you want to prio and certain units you want to avoid. Obviously, this is patch dependent, but we're going to look at his tier list here. So instead of using this Google Doc, where he dives into his different openers, what I did is I developed a tier list on Meta TFT that I'll also link, but it's not necessary. I mean, you can basically memorize this pretty quickly. But his tier list goes: in the S tier, he has Malzahar; A tier, Jhin, Samira; and B tier, Cassiopeia, Aurelia, Cho'Gath, Renekton, and Orianna. And for the 2 costs, he has Set and Swain in the S tier. In the A tier, he has Vi, Warwick, Kassadin, Soraka, and Ashe. And he has some more units in the B tier, but for the simplification of this video, I'm not going to talk about them. These are the only units that I look to upgrade and look to keep in the early stages, in stage 1, right? Those are the units I'll be holding. And there are quite a few nuances to this strategy. But one thing I wanted to mention was, in this Google Doc, he does say that Sub-Zero R quoted me and saying, in my mind, even though these are fake stats, Stars Are Reborn is a 3.6 average. So he went through his own stats, and his current average over the last 25 games when picking this augment was a 2.96, with basically 100% top 4 rate. So that's insane. Yeah, he's top 15 on NA server. He's qualified for the Shurima Cup, and I'm sure he's going to be implementing this strategy in there. So we'll be able to see it live. But let's go back to explaining kind of which units you want to be holding in the early game. So I was a bit confused when I first tried to do the strategy about what to hold. And I've got a simple hack for you guys when it comes to how to just simplify all of this, and that is just hold whatever's on the tier list. So if you don't know what to hold, just hold it in this order, because what you may think is, if we go to Team Planner, let's say you get dropped a shop like this, and you buy Malzahar, you buy Renekton. Okay, what else is on the tier list? And you get an Orianna, right? And you're thinking, well, why should I be keeping a pair of Malzahar when I know he's my primary 1 cost to upgrade? Well, the thing is, you don't always get this Malzahar, right? So what if you get Orianna instead as your only 1 cost that's on the tier list, or that's A tier or whatever, to upgrade? Well, and you get another Malzahar. Well, now you'll have a 2-star Malzahar, and you get a Stars is Born 2-star Orianna. You sell your 1 cost, right? And you just play around this board, and then you just look for a frontline 2-star, which could be Swain, It could be a Cassidy if you want to go Bastions, or it could be a Vi if you want to go Bruisers with with maybe a Cho'Gath and play into a Void line. So that's the first thing with regards to which units you want to hold onto on stage 1. And we're going to go over some gameplay examples just after I finish this guide. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying these in-depth guides, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out and shows me that I'm kind of following the right path of this channel. Positive feedback means that, yeah, I should be continuing with what I'm doing. So please consider that if you're so inclined. Okay, so one more thing about what units to hold and how to play around Stars is Born. The most important part of the Stars is Born strategy is most likely which 3-cost units you get offered, either on stage 2-1 because you've pre-leveled, or from the orbs, right, that you get dropped. So you'll have 2 opportunities to get 3 costs. One will be from the orbs and one will be on stage 2-1. But let's say, for example, we get dropped from an orb, a Rek'Sai, okay? And now, well, we know we're going to be holding Malzahars. So we hold a 1-star Malzahar, a 1-star Cho'Gath, and we get another random whatever Renekton. And this is the units we own, okay, on our board and on our bench on stage 1-4. And then we pre-level and we hit stage 2-1, and our options to upgrade units might be something like we have a Swain, which is great for a 2 cost, and we have a random let's say a Renekton. Then we ignore the other units. If this is our shop, let's just make a full shop here, something like this. Okay, this is our shop. Now what we do is we ignore the other units and we just take our upgrades. So we go 2-star Renekton, and we go 2-star Swain, and we are on level 4. So we just play the Rek'Sai, we play the Malzahar, and we play this on our bench. We sell the 1-star Renekton, right? And this is our board. And then on stage, because we have the eco augment on stage 2-2, we just double level up and put in our Cho'Gath. And we spend 8 gold, double level up 8 gold, and hit level 5, and we try to streak with this board. So that's an example of playing around your 3-cost. Another one would obviously be, let's say I'm just going to do one more, else it's going to get too long because I do want to do some live gameplay where I've been forcing the strat, and I'll do 3 games that I did it on. So let's say you hit a Cat. Well, now you know you're going to be holding units that go with the Noxus line, and then we're gonna, when we hit stage 2-1, we're gonna greed for either Samira or Cassio in the 1-star slot, and Swain and Kled in the 2-star slot. So either one of these that we get first, we just buy, so it's automatically upgraded to 2-star. 2-star, we keep a 1-star Samira that we randomly hit. We have a 1-star Swain that we randomly hit, and you know, this is our board on stage 2-2. And you can obviously, if you hit a Z, then you can play this over Samira, you know, for Slayer and Rogue, and then you just play standard Noxus line from there on out. So that's the theory behind it. Now I'm going to go through 3 early games that I played, and we're going to take a look at exactly how this went. And these games were played on my main account, played in Masters ELO, I think roughly 100 LP or so. So it should be good. So first thing we're going to talk about here is the portal. You just want to make sure you select the portal that gives you early game power. We don't want to take eco portals that give gold when you select an augment, for example, because people who go for lost streaks and are playing Dragon King or Radiant Soul are going to hit level 9 much faster, and they're going to be able to outscale us. So I prefer to take items and I prefer to take combat power. So here, I'm just gonna 2x it. I'm gonna vote for the Shifting Sands. I was thinking about Scuttle Puddle because it also gives items, but end up going for Shifting Sands. And just forward this a bit faster. So here we get the early Ori. And we can see here that we get dropped a Jinx and a Warwick. So I'm already thinking zone lines here. And now I'm not going to be so focused on keeping the sorceress, but rather thinking of, okay, what do I need to play around zone? But because it's Scuttle Puddle, I know I'm going to have to sell my bench here because I want to make 10 gold. So I just have these zone units, and yeah. So let's go back to stage 1-4. So here we just buy the Juggernaut, and now we know we need to pre-level, right? So we know we're gonna have to possibly sell the Warwick on our bench and use the 4 gold we get from the Scuttle Crabs to pre-level here, right? And we do that.
Let's start the show.
Stay out of my way.
So we get Stars is Born. So now the question here is, what will you pick? And I think this is a fairly easy one since we've been gifted the Gunner zone line, right? So we get to take a Jace. Remember I said it's very important to play around the 3 costs that you get. Well, here we have a Jace that we can take. We can take a Warwick for our front line. We know we have Shimmer, which is epic for Zeri. It's one of the better augments. We've already got a Rage Blade, and we get to take a Tristana as well. So Tristana can hold our items, and I believe that's what I do here. And we just play Shimmer on Warwick for now, since we know we're gonna exchange him later, and then we should be playing around this. And possibly, depending on the lobby strength, pre-leveling not pre-leveling, but leveling up to level 5 and streaking. And that's really the most important part of the guide. So I'm gonna stop it there and let's just see if we do get the 5 streak. And yeah, we were able to 5 streak with our board all the way through, and we did hit a Sage Ruani on stage 2-6, so getting even luckier. And this game, I believe, ended pretty well. Yeah, it was either a top 2 or top 3, but that's not important. You can look at my final board here that kind of we settled on, and here we are. This is kind of what we ended up with, and yeah, this is a board that can win a game, right? We ended up having to take H-Fund, I think, to hit level 9 because there was too many units I wanted to fit in. But yeah, so that's how you use the tempo and the eco from Stars is Born to get to late game and actually play the game. So let's take a look at the next one. So this is all in a row. I got Stars is Reborn 3 games in a row here. Yeah, so here we vote for Shurima's Bazaar, and let's see how our opener goes. So remember the tier list? Well, Samira, Jin, Malzahar are all in our tier list, so we want to hold all of these units. And we get pretty lucky by getting a Malzahar pair, Samira pair, as well as a Jin pair. Samira, not Shurima. And I put the Malzahar on the board because it's my most highest tier list unit. So we do hit the 2-star Malzahar. I want to put Cho'Gath in the front here to get some stacks. And remember, so here, the correct move here is to sell my bench and pre-level, okay? And this is a very important moment in the video because because if you don't sell the bench here, Jin will go onto the board and you might not be able to pre-level, right? Because I might not have something drop that's worth gold, or I might get dropped a 3-star unit that I really want and I'm forced to sell it to pre-level, because pre-level takes priority over everything in this build. Unless it's like you've hit Piltover, I would say then I wouldn't sell that unit. Like if I have a Vi, Orianna and a Jace, but now I need to sell one of those to make 4, I wouldn't do that. But otherwise, I'm always selling here. But we don't. And you're going to see what happens here. I remember this game. I just forget. I was about to click it and then I just forget and I actually alt-tabbed in rage there. Anyway, so there I had to sell my Katarina to pre-level. Now imagine I was able to keep that cat, right? I could have
On to the next case.
I could have gone for, okay, let's just Stars Are Born here, and the game could have looked completely different, right? So now over here, there's nothing really in my tier list except for the Aurelia that I want, and Aurelia doesn't really fit with my board here. So I am going to greed and see if I can't find something better. This kind of sucks because you don't want to greed if you can help it, because you want to win spree all the way through stage 2. But we just don't have anything that we can play. And I decide to just see if I can slam a Shojin to win anyway, but unfortunately it's not good enough. And here we do, yeah, so here we do hit the, let me just rewind that a little bit. And here we do hit the Vi and Orianna, which obviously fits perfectly in our board. It gives us 2 Sorcerer, 2 Bruiser, it gives us front line and back line, as well as the possibility of playing Piltover, should we want to. And if we do play Piltover with Stars Is Born, I want to play Win Streak Piltover. So that's a little bit different to the normal Zerizon Piltover that you'll find. So we do get that, and we play this board, and I mean now it's pretty straightforward. So let's take a look at if we were able to win out from here, and we did. So we end up with 31 gold, 4 win spree on stage 2-6, and we end up playing Piltover. I think we put it in on stage 2-5. So we get Piltover in, and the game goes on, and we basically end up unluckily losing a fight here, but we are able to take a decent combat augment, and we're able to hit level 8 with 30 gold and 76 HP on 4-2 whilst playing Piltover. And my idea here was just to put the Sork emblem on Heimer and play 6 Sorks, 3 Invoker Karma with Heimer on stage on level 8. And I believe in this game we never hit an Ahri when we bled out to a 4th. But yeah, that's a great spot to be in. I'm sure, let's just look at our board here. Yeah, I'm sure having this board and this amount of HP and this amount of gold, right, on stage 4-2 is with 2 combat augments or 1 combat augment, and having the medium in shopping, which gives you the odds of hitting Ahri, hitting Heimer, is pretty dope. So this should usually be a top 2. Yeah, and last game we'll take a look at. So thinking about Yorick's Graveyard here, that's fine as long as it's not giving our opponents a bunch of eco. So let's see what we find here. So now we have the Bastion line, right? So this is basically Karma Bastions, if you don't know this build, and we'll be looking at picking up things like, I immediately think of picking up things like Galio, picking up something like a Swain, even though he doesn't quite fit in the board, but late game board, but still we can play Sorks, flex into Sorks, and one cost would just be Malzahar or a Orianna, and at worst case a Malkar or Poppy, but I'll prefer not to take those units. So what do we get? Just gonna feed the Cho'Gath again. And here we know we have to pre-level, so maybe we just put in our units that we know we don't want to sell, right? I would play the Ori over the Cho'Gath here. Yeah, and that's correct. And now we can sell these two to pre-level. Which we do.
Up for a showdown.
We get the Stars is Born, and our options are Ori, Jace, Kayle, and the unit we get is a Swain. So I think we take the Ori here, and we possibly greed for a Gallia or a Swain or whatever. Let's see what we do. So we do play the 3 Sork line, and I think over here I would slam an Archangels, because you know you're going to be playing into either Karma, and that's based in Sun and Karma, or a Sork build. Archangels obviously fine on Sorks too. And we keep the J, since we could play Bolt over again if we do hit something like a Vi. We lose this fight, but here we once again don't need anything, and we just keep greeding. So decide to play the Bastion there. Not sure if that's correct. And let's just see what we get here. Another Karma, and still don't hit anything. So this is really worst case scenario, when you just keep missing like this, right? And this is not a good spot to be in. So I'm glad I showed this video, because this is where we miss, and worst thing happens here. I think we don't even get the Karma for the upgrade. Yeah, that gets stolen too, so we don't get our Karma too. So we're just in a really tough spot here. And I decide to, I know Sunfire is one of the best items on early game items on Bastions, because fights are going to go long. So decide to slam that. And here I feel like very close to committing to the Vi, since the point of this is not to full Osprey, but I can see you taking the Vi there and try to win out the next 2 rounds, but since we don't have the Karma upgraded, it's pretty hard. So maybe I decided here to just go for the full Osprey, and yeah, and then just scout the lowest players, and yeah, he's gonna beat us. So I think what we do here is we just buy the Cassidon as the round starts, so he doesn't go on our board. And one thing to note here, the first time I played this, I thought the Cassidon is free, right? I thought it's free to buy these units from Stars is Born, but it does actually cost 2 gold to buy this upgraded Cassidon. So I do lose eco here. I didn't know that. I thought it wouldn't cost me any gold. But anyway, so we're on full Osprey, 74 HP. Let's kind of see just how this game plays out. So we do play the Bastions. We never natural a Karma. And we only lose another 10 HP on stage 3. So we go into stage 4 here. Okay, on 50 HP, we hit long distance spells, and we have a decent front line. And Combat Caster, I think that's one of the best augments, was taken. Eventually get the Karma too, but it's just a pretty low roll game. Just don't get any tiers to make Sork emblem here, and I think we kind of just bleed out. So into it might have been a 5th or a 4th, I'm not sure. But regardless, the game does not go well for you if you can't win spree. So that is the risk of going Stars is Born. But those are the main things I learned. Basically, how to play the early game is the most important thing. If you greed and you lose, it's gonna not your chances of getting top 2 drastically decreases, and you're looking at top 4 realistically. And then just use a tier list and play around your 3 cost. And that's it, guys. I hope you find this video helpful, and maybe Caitlyn is the legend to play. I'm really excited to see how Joe Bookmark does in the Shurima Cup, and good luck out there.